Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 24th, 2023. It is just past 9 p.m. on the East Coast. It's actually 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Listen, we got a jam-packed show today. We got a lot of topics. The Florida Panthers, as I am wearing right now, good old reverse retro 1.0. Just an absolutely stunning jersey that honestly probably should be their full-time jersey. They're playing right now, game 4. They're up 3-0 in the series. They're up 2-1 after the first period. We'll keep you updated as we continue on here. There's no basketball tonight, and let's start there because on Monday night, the Denver Nuggets advanced to the NBA Finals, defeating the Los Angeles Lakers, sweeping the Lakers. It's their first appearance in the NBA Finals. They joined the league in 1976 when the NBA-ABA merger happened. They're the last of the 4 ABA teams to play in a Finals. The Spurs were the first one in 99. Then it was the Pacers in 2000. Then the Nets in 2002. And now we have the Nuggets in 2023. So I don't really think many people thought this would happen sweep-wise. I think a lot of people thought the Nuggets would win this series. I mean, the Lakers were a 7 seed coming in here. And you just we expected a longer series, we should say. I don't think anybody expected the Nuggets to put on dominating performances 4 games in a row. And LeBron had a great game on Monday. He had like 40 or 50 points in the first half, or something like that, I feel like I saw. And they lost the game. They were up at half, and just this Denver Nuggets team always comes back, like just firing coming out of the locker room. I mean, gotta give it to Coach Malone. He obviously does something at halftime that gets all the guys locked in, and they just keep rolling. They're now in the NBA Finals. Nikola Jokic won the Western Conference Final MVP award. I didn't really know that was a thing until now. I must have forgot about that from last year. I know it's got to be a new thing because I don't remember it at all from previous finals. It's interesting. Why are we awarding for a Western Conference Final? I don't know. But nonetheless, Nikola Jokic still proves that he's probably the best player in the league right now, I think. He definitely doesn't look like it, but he is the best player in the league right now. Obviously, the joke, he was drafted 41st overall during a Taco Bell commercial, and now he's the greatest Serbian basketball player of all time. I believe that's where he's from. Definitely by far greatest one ever. Is he getting up there with best European player of all time? I don't think so. I think you have to win at least 2 finals to get up there. But overall, he's the best player in the league right now. I don't think anybody can really argue that fact. And I think they'll win the finals. I think there's a good chance they win. I don't think they're going to do it in dominating fashion like they did against the Lakers. I think they did it in dominating fashion against the Lakers because it was the Lakers and they were a 7 seed. It's just kind of luck of the draw for the Lakers of the teams they got on their road to the Western Conference Final, and they kind of just got there by luck, basically. I like this Nuggets team. I think they're a very good team. Jamal Murray, I really like his play style. Like I said, Nikola Jokic, I love watching good basketball players play, and he is definitely one of those. And honestly, the biggest storyline that came out of this game didn't even have to deal with the Nuggets. It was LeBron, which, of course, national media is going to run with it because it's the Lakers and it's LeBron, but him questioning if he's going to come back next year. LeBron's coming back next year, people. Stop worrying. He's coming back next year. He's not going to retire getting swept in the Western Conference Finals. That's not going to happen. Just the people that think he's actually going to retire just absolutely befuddle me, because there's no way he retires. There's just absolutely no way LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, retires after getting swept by the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Final. We are 2 years away from his son getting drafted in the league. It's always been the report that, he wants to play a season with his son. And there's no way he steps away after this. If he does, he's coming back the year after because his son will be in the league. There's absolutely no way that's how the king goes out. Overall, like I said, I like this Nuggets team. I think they got a real good shot at winning it. Their opponent, however, still not known, because the Celtics held off elimination last night. They defeat the Heat 116-99 in Miami. Jason Tatum had a 34-point performance. The series is headed back to Boston for Game 5 tomorrow night. The Celtics, they looked dead after Game 3. They looked dead in the water. It looked like it was going to be a sweep. And now they just have that little bit of life. And that's really all you need. That's all you need in these playoffs. You need to have a little bit of life. And that can get you anywhere, basically. I still don't think they win the series. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends tomorrow. But just getting up off the mat, basically, after being absolutely punched 3 times in the face, and just laying there, and the refs starting to count to 10. Boxing reference, obviously. But I still don't think they win. Like I said on Monday's show, if there's a team that comes back from 3-0, it's going to be the Celtics. And I still have to believe that because the Lakers are out. But the Celtics, I still think, are done. I don't know if it gets pushed to a Game 6, though. I think there's a good chance it gets pushed to a Game 6, which then all bets are off, because now you're starting to get that pattern, and that little bit of hope starts getting bigger, and then anything can happen. Because if the Celtics win tomorrow, I think they're winning Game 6, and we're headed to Boston for Game 7. What happens after that? I have no idea. But I think the Heat have to get it done tomorrow night. I think that's just the facts of it. They have to get it done, or else we will be headed back to Boston for a Game 7, most likely. You can't let the Celtics team get hot, I think. I don't think you can let them get hot. And, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, basketball, it's a game of shots. Whoever's hot on the night is going to win the game. The Celtics were a much hotter team last night, even though, the one team's called the Heat. They were they were the better team last night. You could tell that they went out there knowing that it was going to be over if they lost. And now here we are, headed to Boston tomorrow night. My personal prediction, I think the Heat will win tomorrow night. I think it gets done. I think our finals is going to be the Nuggets Heat. It's going to be an amazing series, I believe. But I'm still not writing off the Celtics, because anything can happen in any sport, basically. So now with that done, we'll do some NHL news and notes, because there's just a lot that's going on right now in the league. Like I said, the Panthers puck drop for the second period just happened. It is 2-1 Florida. So the series could end tonight. It's looking like it as of now. I think the Panthers have looked like the better team throughout the first period. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. Last night, the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights played. The Golden Knights just absolutely put on an amazing performance in the American Airlines Arena. the arena, because Center used to be in Miami and now it's not. I don't know. It used to be FTX also, but that's not the point. What a just absolute collapse by the Dallas Stars last night. It started with the Jamie Benn game misconduct that he has now been suspended 2 games for. Absolutely boneheaded decision by him. I cannot believe that happened. The captain of the team within the first 2 minutes of the game. And what are you doing? You cannot literally cross-check somebody in the neck. Like, that is the absolute most boneheaded decision. You were down 2-0. You killed your team within 2 minutes of that game, getting the game misconduct, and you were down 3-0 then. And now you're suspended 2 games, and your season's basically over because it's either ending tomorrow or it's ending Saturday. Just unbelievable. You'd think a guy that's been in the league for a long time would know, hey, I can't cross-check somebody right in the neck. You can't do that. I mean, what are we doing? And, he's not really remorseful for it either. He didn't talk to the media after the game, which was just an absolutely dumb decision. You got to stick up for yourself in that type of position. I mean, you got to at least explain yourself. He explained himself today. He said, he was falling and he was using his stick to brace himself. That's an absolute lie. I mean, come on. What are we doing? It was clearly with intent. And is 2 games enough? I guess. It's the playoffs. I wouldn't have been surprised if the NHL said, you're getting a fine. That's the playoffs. But, you never know. It is what it is. He's suspended 2 games. Like I said, his season's probably over. But, I mean, like I said, the Stars dug themselves their own grave last night. The fans absolute despicable performance from them, throwing stuff on the ice at the end of the second period, throwing a temper tantrum like children. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing? The Golden Knights are obviously the better team, and it is what it is. So, other news in the NHL today. One, Jaromir Jagr is for some reason touring his old cities somewhat. He's in Florida tonight. He was in Pittsburgh yesterday. Is he potentially retiring and going into a front office position? Who knows? I mean, it would be fun for him to come to the Penguins. That would be interesting. But I think he's just having fun right now. Just enjoying life at 50, 51 years old, still playing hockey over in the Czech Republic. And, good for him. He's still playing at that age. Good for him. Other news, Penguins wise, apparently Kyle Dubas met with Sidney Crosby at the Penguins facility last night. Read into that what you will. I'm reading into it that he is potentially taking this job. And as I say that, the Carolina Hurricanes just scored. It is now a tie game at 2-2. There's 17:09 remaining in the second. So this obviously changes some things. The Panthers I still think they end up winning tonight, but, Carolina backs against the wall. Wouldn't be surprised if they pull at least one off, and that one off could be tonight. But back to the Penguins. Dubas meeting with Crosby, that kind of leads me to believe he's taking or very much considering the job. He said in his press conference last week, that the press conference that ended up getting him fired, that he wouldn't take another job. It would only be the Leafs. But you kind of have to say that when you're at a press conference for your job that you're at right now. You kind of got to say, I'm not going to work anywhere else. But when you kind of get fired, you're going to take another job. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fenway Sports Group throws him a gigantic bag of money. He takes the job and makes potentially one more run with the core three. I don't think it's possible. I think we've already crossed that bridge, and we'll see. I hope that this leads to him taking the job. I like the idea of him being the one that builds this rebuild that's coming in 2 years, hopefully sooner, I guess. I don't want to move on from the core three, but I'd like the rebuild to start because nobody else has done that in the period that our window closed. So I like the idea of Dubas being GM of the Penguins, or maybe president. Either of them I'm completely fine with. So that is it for NHL news and notes of the day. Sounds like Brad Treliving, former Calgary GM, is the front runner for the Maple Leafs GM job. I think it would be a great hire for the Leafs. It's kind of the guy you want in the job. It's somebody that has experience. I mean, obviously the Flames didn't make the playoffs this year, but also like the Flames just seem to underachieve each year, which of course that's also what the Leafs do. So it's kind of a good fit, but I think Treliving's a good guy to get in there to get to that final step that the Leafs need to get to make runs in the playoffs, like getting to a cup final or something like that. He seems like a good fit. From what it sounds like, he may be the only person that's been interviewed so far, and might be the only interview because Leafs upper management likes him. We'll see. I think we'll find out more within the week. It feels like this is going to be a quick hire for the Leafs, because I feel like if you're going to let go, aka fire Dubas, you have a plan in place and know what you're going to do. And I think that is the idea, what the Leafs want to go with. So that is officially it for the NHL news and notes. Big story making news around this area today. And I mean, it's making news in the college football world, but it's not like groundbreaking news. MSU, Michigan State, has moved their game against Penn State to Ford Field on November 24th. That is Black Friday. The game will be played at 7:30 on NBC. Now, on Monday, I mentioned that in that article that said that the Big Ten NBC contract is basically in flux and not done yet because Kevin Warren left a half-baked idea and said it was done. It mentioned that this game got moved to Black Friday, and that was about it. And I said it's probably going to be a night game because it was mentioned alongside the NBC contract. I didn't expect this to end up getting moved to Ford Field. My original thought was, when I saw the news, I'm like, what are we doing here? I feel like I've said that a lot today. I mean, it's just a good question. I feel like Taylor Twellman. What are we doing? What are we doing? But the more and more I think about it, like it's somewhat a good idea, but it's also not. So let me run you through like what I'm thinking. I think overall it's a good idea. It's not a good idea to announce it in late May when season tickets have already been bought and people have basically planned around this. Obviously season ticket holders are getting refunds, but you're losing a home game. And the way the MSU schedule breaks down now, there's 4 home games in September, 1 in October, and 1 in November. It's just no logic. Obviously, you can't really control the October and November part of the schedule because that's Big Ten conference games, and Big Ten makes all those decisions. But it's not like, if you're a student, obviously I'm just a recent graduate, like it's good, but it's bad. Like, okay, so now senior day for Michigan State is November 4th, I believe. That will be the last game at Spartan Stadium for the year, and it will be against Nebraska, I believe. Like it was supposed to be this game, but it is now not, obviously. But like, And I think about like the good things with this. It's the day after Thanksgiving, even if it was after Black Friday on the Saturday that it usually is. Those games aren't greatly attended. If the team's good, they're attended well. If the team's bad, there's like 20,000 people there. And especially if it was going to be a night game, that's just even worse. I also get it because, like, if we think about the student perspective, a lot of students go home for the holiday and they'll come back on Sunday probably. There's basically no students there anyways. I think that was the 2021 game when they played Penn State in the final game of the season. It was that snow globe type game. It was a good attended game, but that Michigan State team was also 9-2 going into that game. I still think the student tickets they had, like, it was, if you have a student ticket to the game, you can bring 2 friends free. Like, because they know that nobody's going to show up for that because all the students are at home. So with that perspective, I get the idea of moving this to Detroit. And especially since it is a night game, you're in an indoor facility. You don't have to deal with, possibly a blizzard or 20-degree weather. But it also, you're losing a home game. You're losing any home environment you would have had. And it's being neutered down to, I'll say it's going to be a 60-40 split probably of fans. I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State really shows up for this game, especially if they're good. Michigan State's not. Penn State's fans are probably going to really show up. It's you don't make this decision in late May. That's my big problem with it. You got to make this decision in like March or April, and obviously this contract with NBC has obviously thrown this all in flux, but you don't move a rivalry game to a neutral site in late May. You just don't. I think it's bad look for MSU in general because, like I said, season tickets have basically already been sold, and obviously season ticket holders are getting their refund for that game, but they're also not getting tickets to that game. They have to purchase those separately, which I'm sure the prices will be much more expensive than they would have been at Spartan Stadium. And, it is what it is, I guess. We aren't the ones making the decisions. The fans aren't the ones that are being thought about when these decisions are made. The people that are being thought about are the TV contracts. I think the biggest thing that's annoying me with this also is that this wasn't even Michigan State's idea. It said in the article that the Big Ten approached Michigan State like a month ago and was like, hey, we need you to move this game because NBC wants it and we don't want you playing at Spartan Stadium, basically. So thanks, Big Ten, for, making Michigan State play at Ford Field. This also messes up the high school state championships for football. They're scheduling because they usually go Friday, Saturday. They're now Saturday, Sunday. So that will be interesting to see how it plays out. So 4 straight days of football at Ford Field. My best wishes are to the staff of Ford Field working 4 straight days, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a weird game no matter what. You're going to be in a neutered environment, like I said, and it's not going to be a home game for Michigan State. I can already tell you that. It's not going to. So with that, we will do the best segment of the show. Quick kick around the pitch. 2 somewhat important games happened today. The Coppa Italia final. Inter Milan defeated Fiorentina 2-1. in Rome. They win back-to-back Coppa Italias. Just a great game. I mean, Fiorentina scored within the first 3 minutes, and then you kind of saw the idea of Inter Milan playing defensively, but also attackingly, kind of, I guess would be the best way to say it. You saw that takeover as soon as that goal went in, and they slowly wear down Fiorentina, and they ended up getting 2 goals from Martinez, and that was it. Fiorentina put up a few good shots within the last 25 minutes, but it wasn't good enough. And like I said, Inter Milan win their second straight Coppa Italia. Both teams playing in European finals coming up. Inter Milan in the Champions League final against Manchester City, and Fiorentina in the Europa Conference League final against West Ham. Both very interesting games. Both games I think the Italian teams can win, but they can also lose very quickly. That was the big game in Italy today. England today, there was one Premier League game. The champions Manchester City drew against Brighton and Hove Albion 1-1 at the Amex in Brighton. Nothing really to write home about, I'd say, today. I mean, congrats to Brighton for officially clinching Europa League spot for the first time in their history, their first European games in their history. So congrats to them on that. Erling Haaland had a good assist today, which can't say I'm surprised because he seems to always score or assist in any game he plays in. So other than that, there wasn't anything huge game-wise today. News-wise today, England announced their squad for the Euro qualifiers in June between Malta and North Macedonia. No real surprises here, I'd say. Goalkeepers, Nick Pope was out because he has hand surgery, so Sam Johnston steps in from Crystal Palace. Defenders, Tomurai, I'm still shocked that he hasn't. I don't know what he needs to do to get called up. I think he's been doing really well for AC Milan this year. It feels like he's the center back that England needs, but I guess Southgate has something against him. The Florida Panthers just scored. It is now 3-2. We're right at the midway point of the game. 10 minutes left in the second. In midfielders, no big surprise there. The only surprise, I thought maybe Morgan Gibbs-White would get a call up. He did not. I mean, it is what it is. And then your forwards, once again, no real surprise there. You still have Foden, Grealish, Kane, Maddison, Rashford, Saka, and Callum Wilson, who is stepping in for Ivan Toney, who's obviously been suspended for 8 months for gambling. Can't play football anywhere, I believe. So these are 2 games. Lewis Dunk back in the squad for the first time since 2018. So big congrats to him. No, it's huge getting called up. So these aren't going to be huge games. I mean, it's Malta and North Macedonia. You obviously have to get the 3 points in both of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if Southgate plays around with the lineups because these aren't as crucial, I'd say, as like playing in Italy. And finally, we'll end off with the news coming out of the Netherlands. Arne Slot is in the pole position to become the next Tottenham manager. He led Feyenoord to the Eredivisie title this year, first time for them since 2017. I'll be honest. I've watched some of his highlight clips from Feyenoord. I'm very excited. I'm not excited because I don't think we have the players to play that type of football. I just don't. Eric Dyer is going to get an extension for another 5 years for some reason, and he's going to let in 10 goals somehow with his defensive play. He's god-awful. But if we get the right players in, because I think what Daniel Levy wants to do here, I think he wants to get youth in this team. Does he want to get rid of the players that have been here for what seems like an eternity? Probably not. But getting youth in this team, I think, will be a positive for slot. I think it will make slot ball more compatible, I guess I'd say. Now, how are you going to get the funds to get these younger players? Does that mean Harry Kane gets sold in the summer? I don't know. Like I said, he's the greatest Tottenham player of all time. I'd love for him to stay, but I just don't think it's going to happen because he wants to win trophies. And I believe his time within the international window may have passed. I thought it was either going to be Euro 2020 or the 22 World Cup. They obviously did not win either of those. But I think I don't know, because I know he wants to get that. He wants to get the Premier League goal scoring record, and I don't see Daniel Levy selling him to a team in England. I just don't. Unless they come with some crazy offer, I don't see him getting sold somewhere in England. That's why I honestly think he might stay, and his contract will run out at the end of the year, and then he's free to sign wherever. Either way, I don't think it changes anything that he's the greatest Tottenham player of all time. The only way he can change that is if he pulls a Sol Campbell and goes to Woolwich United on the other side of North London. And if he does that, he's dead to me. I don't think he will. I don't think there's any way that Harry Kane goes there. And I like I said, I like the idea of Slot. He's not the right coach for the players we have right now. He's the right coach for the players we might have in the future. If we are investing in the youth and we're trying to get younger, I really like the hire. Obviously, this is Tottenham. This could easily fall apart tomorrow. I mean, they said in negotiations today they're still $5 million apart with Feyenoord, which, knowing Daniel Levy, that could be a dropping point saying, nope, $5 million is too much. I cannot pay that. That's a very Tottenham thing that could happen. So nothing's official until he's officially announced by the club. And yeah, so I think that's going to be it tonight. It was kind of a, just quick idea of what happened in sports these past 2 days. Like I said, the Panthers are up 3-2 right now. There's 9 minutes left in the second. They look to be on their way to their first Stanley Cup final since 1996. Obviously, it's only a 1-goal lead, so things can change. But that's going to be it for today. So thank you so much for watching. If you were watching live or if you're watching it on the recording, we'll be back Friday. Who knows? We may have a Stanley Cup final set. We may have an NBA finals set. We can always preview those. It's always a fun time here on Sports.